All right, Sagar, what are you looking at?
Well, two announcements on Tuesday evening absolutely rocked the sports entertainment world. One, Penn Gaming is partnering up with Disney sports juggernaut ESPN to launch an ESPN betting app pushing the Disney property fully into the world of online gambling. But two, Penn Gaming is divesting entirely its ownership of Barstool Sports into the hands of Dave Portnoy, making him the sole owner of the company. Both announcements in their own right are titanic. Together, they tell us a lot about the state of the media business today and what the future looks like. Let's start with Barstool, a brand that I've always loved and continue to admire. Portnoy revealed some of the reason for why Penn has decided to part ways with Barstool. Let's take a listen to that interview.
We did this deal about 3 years ago, and I think both parties are like, we're going to take this thing to the moon. And we underestimated just how tough it is for myself and Barstool to operate in a regulated world where gambling regulators, the New York Times, Business Insider hit pieces, fucking with the stock price. Every time we did something, it was one step forward, two steps back. We got denied licenses because of me, you name it. So the regulated industry, probably not the best place for Barstool Sports and the type of content we make.
Okay, so basically, Barstool's controversy, aka the reason why it is popular, is the reason that Penn Gaming had to divest itself from Barstool. And to be clear, when I say divest, I really mean it, not a sale. The details of the transaction released so far indicate Portnoy did not have to pay more than $1 to get his brand back after being paid some $500 million 3 years for the brand previously. In fact, the only stipulations are some non-compete elements to the future of the brand, and that if he should sell it in the future, they would get some of the proceeds. He quickly put that to rest, saying he would never sell it should he die. He will just get the brand over to one of his trusted associates. There is a whole other monologue to give about what an incredible deal that is to make, but I want to focus on the actual substance of it. What we're really learning here is a profound lesson in freedom and what it takes to be a good media company in 2023. Barstool was a liability to Penn Gaming because of the controversy it generated. Thus, the contrary was used as evidence for why gambling licenses and other regulatory hurdles for the company couldn't be cleared and was worth nearly $500 million loss just to rid themselves of the problem. And as I immediately reacted to the Portnoy comments, any truly free media brand cannot be connected to a larger entity. It must have a funding model immune from attack. And while I think Barstool may miss out on some sweet gambling revenue, I believe that this move will actually make them bigger than ever before. The most valuable commodity in the public sphere in 2023 is to be able to speak your mind. It's why Barstool is as popular as it is today. The more popular it gets, the more it represents millions of people, mostly men, who despise political correctness. And the more of a vector of attack, then, it will be for the mainstream. I believe with no connection to the outside, save for their advertising business, they will likely be bigger than ever before. But there's actually a second part of the announcement that we haven't gotten to yet, which also relates to a monologue I've done previously. While Penn Gaming did divest itself from Barstool, they announced their new partnership with ESPN. Now, per the deal, Penn Gaming is going to pay some $1.5 to $2 billion to ESPN, who will then promote the new ESPN betting app across all of its franchise. This is welcome news for ESPN, which once was the king of cable bundle, but now is openly being floated as an area for strategic partnership of Bob Iger as they lose the fundamental value that the brand once commanded within media. Immediately, however, I had a different view, perhaps than others, because one of another favorite broadcasters in the independent sports world, Pat McAfee, he recently signed a deal with ESPN. As I covered at that time, McAfee's show is going to be simulcast on the ESPN channel as well as on ESPN's YouTube channel. And at the time, I actually hailed it as a victory for McAfee and for YouTube to be able to get a licensing deal where content is not exclusive to the channel itself, but I of course flagged one big concern. One of the reasons that people love McAfee and the boys is that they speak their mind. Now, as you saw during the Brett Favre situation when he literally got sued for libel, he just brushed it off. McAfee promised when he announced he was going to ESPN, he would continue to keep it real, and let's recall that promise. Nothing would change except that they were going to say the F word less. Here's the issue, however. Think about the sequence of events that we just went through. Penn Gaming divested Barstool for being too controversial, and then signed with ESPN. McAfee's now part of the ESPN umbrella for the foreseeable future for a colossal sum of money. But can he really continue to keep it real? Obviously, time is going to tell, but it certainly doesn't bode well for that promise, regardless of what I believe are his very good intentions. It reveals the exact reason why this show is independent, because we had to learn the hard way. Corporate control, what it looks like, how enemies won't target you, they'll just go after the larger entity, and they try to that employs you to try and compel your behavior. In no way am I saying he's a sellout or that he will curtail his future comments. Only just, it's a Gordian knot of problems that Barstool was specifically consumed by, and it ultimately led to it have to going independent. Ultimately, I believe the sequence of events truly defines what the future of all entertainment will look like. Those who are attached to larger brands and regulated industries will always have to toe at least somewhat the establishment line. They will be sanitized involuntarily, but they get paid big bucks for sanitization. Then, swashbucklers will remain on the outside, kind of scooping up millions of people who want that authenticity. And then the crossroad will always come when someone comes along and they want to co-opt that audience in exchange for a lot of money. What we've learned from the Barstool deal and its eventual collapse is that if you want to be truly free and to speak your mind, it's probably a bad trade to take the money in the long run. I'm curious what you think of all this, Krystal.
Oh, yeah. Hey guys, obviously I had a lot of thoughts on what Saagar had to say there. So if you want to see my thoughts on this monologue and every other Saagar monologue, make sure you subscribe at breakingpoints.com.